Today I'm sharing some tips on how to make it easier to assemble these really small layered die cuts, and also a fun background technique. Hey crafty people, it's Tasha. Welcome back to my channel. If you like the video then please do give me a thumbs up, and if you aren't already subscribed I would love it if you'd consider hitting that button. Okay, so Altenew's latest craft flower is out today. It is, and I am sure that I will butcher this name, the Dendrobium Orchid. Didn't have a clue what that was, had to look it up, but it was really fun to create. So this is one of the sets where there's small flowers and there's quite a lot of different ones, so it can be really quite difficult sometimes to get those assembled. Yeah, sometimes it's a bit rough. So I wanted to share some tips on how I went about doing it that I think make it much quicker. First of all, I've got a sheet of Nina £80 and I've backed the whole sheet with double-sided adhesive. So that's my first tip. It's so much easier if when you cut these you've already got that adhesive on the back, so much easier just to lay them up. You're not going to get all covered in glue, which is what normally happens with me. So there's tip number one. Then one thing that I really love about these smaller crafted flowers and the other die sets that Altenew do is that each part of the finished image that is going to be the same colour is all on one die, so it's really easy to know what you need to colour each piece. So what I decided to do was on that, it's an A4 sheet, I think it was an A4 sheet of Nina. I'm just sort of roughly colouring an area that is big enough to cover the whole of the die that I need for that colour. That way I can just run these all through my die machine and I've got them cut. They've already got the adhesive on the back and they're all already coloured, and that is so much easier than trying to colour all those teeny tiny little bits, because there are some really small pieces in this set. So that's my second tip for how to do it. Also wanted to point out that this set is slightly different. I know I've mentioned before you need to check the layering guide whenever you're doing the craft flowers, builder flowers, anything like that that you're layering, to check, because sometimes it's switched around a little bit. For example, I assumed that the biggest surface area would be the lightest colour because that's how it sort of usually is, but that's not the case with this one. You start with the darkest area, the shadow, and then you're going to add the highlights on. So you do need to make sure that you check the layering guide so that you've got each piece in the right colour, because obviously you're not going to end up with the image that you want if you've got the shadows and the highlights the wrong way around. And I very nearly did that with the leaves because I'm just so used to the largest one being the lightest colour. I have the layering guide right there. I prop it up right next to me so I can see, and I've got the backing from that double-sided adhesive where I took the backing off the entire sheet to add it to the paper, so I've got that there so I can use that to put all of my pieces on. It's going to keep them all in one place and I don't have to worry about them sticking to anything, so that was really helpful as well. And then all I do is just work on one flower at a time. I started from the flower at the top of the layering guide, found the base for that one, found all the individual pieces, and then I do make sure that I try them on. I test them to make sure that I have got it right before I commit by sticking it down. I normally shy away a little bit from double-sided adhesive because it doesn't give me much time to sort of move things around, but the double-sided sheet adhesive that I'm using it's a really strong glue, but only once it's been really pressed down. So if you just place them on, you have got a little bit of time to lift them back up and then try again if you do get it wrong. But with these kind of sets, it's not going to look like incredibly realistic. That's not what we're going for. That's not the aim with these. So, you know, if you do get it just slightly wrong, that's okay. It's okay. I'm just showing you there on the guide. It clearly shows you which parts match up. So usually with these, all of the layers that you're going to add on, or at least the majority of the layers that you're going to add on, all sit against one of the edges of the largest piece, so you can kind of see, right, that's where that bit sits, and if that's lined up and in place, then the rest of it just sort of naturally goes into place. I hope that makes sense. That's and yeah, just have fun doing it. Also, another tip, I highly recommend some of these reverse action tweezers. They are an absolute lifesaver in these tiny little pieces. So I'm not going to make you watch all of the assembly because it was exactly the same for all of the flowers and all of the leaves. Follow the guide. I used the largest frame from the Mix and Match Frames die set to cut this A2 panel, and I love the whole detail around the border. Love it. So I cut that from £110 Nina. Cut that first, then I attached it to the dotted lines debossing plate, just to give a little bit of texture in the background. I love this debossing plate because it's perfect for that. I do like to use £110 Nina when I use the debossing though, because I just feel like it takes that detail better if I do it that way. And also you need to make sure that if you are double cutting the panel, as I did here, that the debossing is the last thing you do, because if you run it back through your die machine, it's going to squash some of that detail. So now I'm just deciding where all of these pieces go. I've sped this up quite a lot because, well, it took me quite a long time. But that's okay. I was happy with that. I just had some music on and I just enjoyed the process of trying to figure out where I wanted things. Another tip that I wanted to share was, when you have got lots of little pieces like this, and you sort of map out where you want them to go, but you need to add glue underneath. What I like to do is I use another piece of that low tack tape, but I do make sure I put it on my hand or a piece of clothing or something a couple of times just to get some of that sticky off. And then I place the tape across all of those little pieces so that it keeps them together and I can lift it up as one. I know a lot of people use the press and seal for this technique, but I can't get press and seal here. If anyone knows where there's press and seal, then let me know, because I would love to get some, but I can't. Also, these flowers, in places, they're like 5 pieces of £80 cardstock layered up, so they are thick. So it is going to be a thick card, and it's also going to be a heavy card. So just bear that in mind if you are planning to post it. Also, where I've got the different flowers crossing over each other, if I just use the adhesive that's on the back of them anyway, none of them are going to sit properly because they're going to be they're higher than the background, basically, because each of the flowers is so thick. So where it's sitting over one of the other ones, you need to account for that, and the best way to do that is to just use some foam tape. So we've got the instant instant dimension foam tape from Altenew. So for some I use that, and others I use these little foam square things because these are double thickness ones. They're the 3D ones. So this is a thick card. It really is. So I decided to finish the design off with a gold sentiment stacked on top of a vellum shadow, and then to add some extra gold I backed the background with a panel of the gold mirror paper, and whilst you might think it's a bit wasteful because you can't see it all, but I just really love that when you move the card you get like little hints of that gold behind in the little holes that the debossing die leaves. So I think that's really cool. I hope you like the card. I hope that those tips were helpful. Let me know in the comments below. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you aren't already, and also I hope that you have a lovely, happy, safe and wonderful week. Stay crafty. Bye!